So, tell me something terrible. I don't know what that goes to.
I think that goes to the Oregon Trail.
Oh, Dysentery Gary?
Yep.
What? That's a terrible joke.
That was amazing.
Your standards have been beaten down so far. I could not be more proud of myself.
Good. Well, you've been wearing on
Stop
me for the last...
touching the mic.
I just had to make sure it was on because I was just... Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's not on, even though I can visibly see that it's recording.
We did an audio test like 2 minutes ago. Anywho, you should welcome ourselves. We're here. You should welcome our guests whose ear holes we're penetrating.
Oh.
Sorry, what?
There was like that was a Family Guy episode.
What?
About they had like a abstinence thing at school, and so like people were like, oh, well, if it's not penetrating the vagina, then it's not sex, and so ears became the thing.
Ooh.
All right. You didn't watch Family Guy.
I watched early Family Guy. I petered out after see what I did there? After like season 2.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time keeping up with the shows.
Yeah. Family Guy, Futurama, King of the Hill, and The Simpsons were like every like Wednesday that our family sat down from like 6 on to watch all of those dumb shows.
See, if I owned, like I have the first 2 seasons of Family Guy on DVD. If I own it, I will watch it repeatedly. If I don't own it, I'm not going to like be around a TV at a specific time, especially back then when nothing was on demand.
Yeah. No, it was like a big, like we all sat down and watched like all of it. Like as like 10-year-olds and like 12-year-olds, our parents still let us watch those things because they have no concept of censorship.
Censorship?
Yep.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Scott.
Oh, hi, I'm Tiffany.
You're bad at this.
I am.
I'm joking.
Oh, and you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible. You started it wrong and fucked me up.
Yeah, you are. I did, because I asked you to start, and then you're like, you never watched Family Guy. I did, actually.
Surprising. I'm sure your parents would have been like, oh, no, we have to get rid of him if they knew.
Have to get...
Yeah. Send him back.
The latest of term abortions.
All right.
I knew that would get a good giggle out of you.
You
do like horrible jokes?
What?
We should record a podcast about that.
Oh, yeah, we should. Good thing we're here.
We are. We should give the people what they want.
Yeah. Which is true crime.
Is it?
Headed back to the roots.
Oh, I was really hoping we talk more sad shark stories.
Oh, this one's sad, too. Get your jokes out early.
Know what else we're going to do this episode? We're going to write down a title in the middle of the episode so we don't have to, like, go back and forth on it for, like, 2 hours on a Monday night while I'm editing.
Yep.
Because we're responsible podcasters.
Sure. That's a fun word for it.
Yep.
Kay.
We are technically podcasters, which feels weird to say out loud.
Ugh. Gross.
This is episode
like the
76.
new hipster. I'd be like, I have a garage band. Like that's what podcasts.
You realize in like what May,
June,
now. We're gonna hit episode 100 of this nonsense.
Look at us go.
Right?
Do you have anything fancy planned for episode 100?
I don't think. Do you want to buy champagne? What else? Like pop a cork? Ugh. That's like ASMR-y.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, you seem excited.
Thrilled.
Maybe we'll do it live on Twitch.
We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait. That long.
We'll do another one before then.
Okay.
You want to record the bonus episode on Twitch?
But then it wouldn't be a bonus episode because anybody could have it, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
I guess if we didn't save it. Anyway.
It doesn't matter.
We'll do another one on Twitch at some point.
Yeah, at some point. Ooh, I got a fun topic. We should do the next one on Twitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for that. Anyway. We've wandered early and often. You going to finish that drink? All right.
I think so. Hold on. Are you going to chat? Shamelessly plug anything?
Yeah. Twitch at Tell Me Something Terrible. That's our, what do they call it there? Handle? ID?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, we're going to do things there. I might make Tiff play video games. Just kidding. Most of the time, we've done one, and it was live, a live-ish podcast. It was like a live mini pod. She walked away to get a drink, so now you guys are stuck with me. And it was fun, and we plan on doing it again. We just haven't had time. So she's back now with another Vizzy that she's going to open. What flavor did you go with?
Blueberry pomegranate.
And we're back on the Vizzy train, so
yep.
We're sorry.
I'm trying to manifest summer, which I had a client tell me it's supposed to be in the 40s soon.
Okay. For like a day?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Much better than a -6, which is what it was this morning in Michigan.
That's true.
Ew.
Hey, currently it's hold on, weather check.
Does it say
10.
10?
Yeah. Yep.
It's the warmest it's
Anyway,
been in the last 24 hours.
What's our subject? I was trying to think of a fancy way to say like something.
Topic?
Yeah. There's like a French word for it. Something du jour.
I don't know. I studied Spanish, not French.
Anyway, what's the flavor of the week?
An unsolved murder, your favorite.
Oh, I hate unsolved stuff.
I knew
What
you were
a
going to love
dick
it.
move.
I know. Like, oh, we haven't done a
Was it
murder in a long time.
recent-ish?
No. No,
Okay,
no.
so he's dead. She's dead.
Oh, no. Like, yeah, the victim was female. They have no.
No,
clue.
I don't.
The male.
I understand if it's a murder that the victim is probably dead.
It's not that old.
I'm
yes.
saying is the unsolved murderer still walking amongst us?
Maybe.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
A little twisty.
Yeah, he's probably in his 20s when this happened, so he could still be alive.
Okay.
All right, before I tell you really horrible things, we're going to do ASMR this busy. Ready?
Okay. Yep. Weak sauce. Would you open that with your toes? Why'd that sound so funny?
I don't know, weird monkey toes like you. I have little chode toes.
I don't think I could open. I'd have to like not cut my toenails for like 3 weeks. Then I might be able to open a can.
No.
And then no one would
Yeah.
want it.
Either open a can or get a divorce.
You want to see a cool party trick? It involves fungus. It'll be
There's
fine.
a fungus among us. So, look.
You might be a lame ass woman, but I'm a fun guy.
Ow.
ugh.
I hate you.
That sting?
Yeah. So, let's get to the unsolved murder, shall we?
Yes, please.
After I've been harangued by
Hurry
my
before
husband.
it solves itself. What did you say?
Harangued by my husband?
What is harangued?
Similar to
Got them old orangutan titties?
Hold on. And now I'm worried that I didn't use that word properly.
What, Scary Movie 2
Oh,
reference?
God.
Which is a Schitt's Creek reference, kind of. Scary Movie 2 is the strong hand one. Anyway, becomes rolling shit.
Oh, it's a length. Oh, I used it improperly. It's a lengthy and aggressive speech.
Oh.
So yours was just a short, aggressive speech.
I like to think it's lengthy.
Yeah.
Oh, God, she spilled the fizzy.
Man down.
Mistakes were
Is
made.
this Scotch guarded? Why is this not absorbing into this blanket?
This is a $5 fleece throw from who the fuck knows where.
Covered in asbestos, apparently.
Okay, you start telling your story. I'll listen hard and get some paper towel. Talking to that microphone, would you?
Okay, so Betsy was a Holland, Michigan resident. She grew up in a more conservative community because apparently Holland is all very it's Dutch. Go figure.
Yeah, they're big wooden shoe people there.
Yeah.
You say her name was Betsy
Betsy.
from Holland? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Her last name is
Normally you point out Michigan ones. You kept that back.
No, this is Michigan.
I know. I said normally you're like, we're going back to our roots.
Because it didn't happen in Michigan.
Oh,
She's just from Michigan.
Okay.
So there's actually a lot of intersectionalism in this. And I did use that word properly. Thank you. Look at me go. I
feel
studied
like
English.
I've been intersexually harassed. Sorry.
So she was a Holland, Michigan resident.
I'm going to apologize for every bad joke this episode for some reason. So apologies in advance for all the apologies.
So she did grow up in a conservative community, but was frequently described as a budding feminist.
Okay.
So
It's our favorite kind.
Yes, right up my alley. So she was bright, sarcastic, with a quick, dry wit, with auburn
You're
hair.
essentially
And,
describing me.
yeah.
Does she have a red beard?
She has red hair. She has auburn hair and green eyes.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn it.
So
Poop brown eyes. Strike again.
So she drew a lot of attention from the opposite gender, but had very little interest in boys, preferring to focus on school and later on trying to make the world a little less painful place.
Okay. I thought you were going to say she was like she was interested in girls. I guess
No.
you kind of led that up to that, and I was like, okay,
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. No,
Yeah.
she did have a boyfriend at some point.
that's fine.
She had a boyfriend when she died. We'll get to it. So,
Is he the suspect number one?
yes, he is. So first,
They always are.
Yeah. So first she attended. First she attended Hope College. Have you heard of Hope College?
I have heard of Hope College.
Yes.
I got some letter from Hope College because they wanted me to go there when I was in school.
Of course they did, because they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, look, this boy who grew up in a Baptist church, he'd totally be interested in going here."
Private schools are all about the scholarship letters.
Look, Hope College. You thought Spring Arbor was bad. Hope College, you had to go. When this was written, people were talking about how strict it was, and I know for a fact when you would have attended there, it still would have been equally as strict because I knew somebody who went there and almost got kicked out.
Nice.
It was D-Bag's sister.
It's called Hope College, not Mercy. Okay.
It was D-Bag's sister, and she got caught drinking, and she was all proud of herself because she was talking about how she managed to not get kicked out because she just turned on the tears. And was like, it's the first time that I've ever drank in my life. She wasn't even underage. She was just drinking. Mm-hmm. And they were going to kick her out. She's like, it's the first time and I'm so sorry. And she was there on a scholarship and she managed to pull it together.
Don't you remember when you turned water into grapefruit juice? Or grape juice, not grapefruit juice. That'd be fucking awful. God, grapefruit's a disgusting joke of a fruit.
It really is.
Unless it's Fresca. Make a grapefruit soda, I'm down. Anyway, that was a hard tangent. Now I'm back on track.
So anyway, they had to go to chapel 3 times a week, and curfew was 9 p.m.
Unless it's Dave Chappelle, I'm out.
So first she went to Hope College in the UP, and then she wound up transferring to Michigan for pre-med in the thick of the John
That's
Norman.
in the LP, in case you're...
Yes, it is in the LP, in the Trolls. And when she transferred to Michigan, it was in the thick of John Norman Collins' murdering spree. Do you remember him?
We've mentioned him, I feel like, in the past.
Yeah?
Yeah. What?
We did a whole deep dive on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy who would shove fabric in their vaginas.
76 of these, okay? When was that? Was that the first?
I think it was 40-ish.
Yeah, bro. Been a bit, all right?
He was the guy who went on the murdering spree and he would dump bodies, and there was abandoned houses and kids found one body and they think he came back to them, and he would
Kids always find bodies.
And he would shove things inside of their vaginas.
Vaginas,
Because
yes.
that's what the sheriff said.
Yeah.
So she moved there in the thick of...
Furbrick in their vaginas.
So she moved there in the thick of his murdering spree. And this is also where she met her last boyfriend. His name is David Wright. He was also...
Aw, she finally found Mr. Right.
She really did. And then she died.
And then she mysteriously died. Wait,
Look,
David Wright?
David Wright.
I definitely know a guy named David Wright.
Oh.
He's our age, though.
Oh, definitely not this guy then.
Shout out if you listen to the pod. I know you don't.
So anyway, David Wright was also pre-med. Eventually, Betsy decided her biology classes were boring and changed her major to English, and then stumbled across the Peace Corps. So that was her plan. She was going to drop doing medical school, major in English, and then when she was done, she was going to go save children in Africa through the Peace Corps. So she asked David if he would wait for her, and he said that he didn't think he could do that. And he packed his bags and headed to Hershey, Pennsylvania to attend medical school.
Okay.
Yep.
And make chocolate on the side.
There's a lot of anti-inflammatories in that chocolate. And then Betsy decided that she was actually going to follow him.
To Pennsylvania to save the children of Pennsylvania?
No, she decided to drop the
Big
Peace
Peace
Corps.
Corps boom in the candy capital of the world, yeah.
So got to save those children from diabetes.
Yeah.
So she decided not to do the Peace Corps. She was going to follow him and continue her English major.
Regrettable life decision, but
It really was. So she was accepted to Penn State, and her family was just simply relieved that she would be out of the serial killer playground that was East Michigan University and U of M campus.
okay.
So they were like, cool, she's going someplace safe where there's not murders.
Yeah.
So David studied at one of Penn State's side campuses.
Hold on. Do you know what Penn State's mascot is?
No.
I'll give you $2.
An eagle.
What? You think it's Penn State Eagles?
A Hershey bar.
No. It's a Nittany lion. I don't know what Nittany is, but it's a Nittany lion.
Sure.
Go for it.
Yep.
Anyway.
We're going to run with that. So he became a Nittany lion and attended college at one of Penn State's side campuses. And then Betsy attended classes at Penn State's main campus. So they were nearly 100 miles apart.
So she might as well have been in Africa. Okay.
So Betsy would write David because collect calls were still hella expensive in the 60s. And they would travel to see each other on the weekends. Over Thanksgiving, a bunch of med students and their significant others got together for Thanksgiving at Penn State's, where David was staying for class. So they all got together for Thanksgiving on November 27th. But instead of staying, Betsy headed back to the main campus so that David could study and so she could do some research for a huge research and analysis paper for some level 500 class that was due in 2 weeks, and also to talk to that professor for that class, whose office was in the basement of the library.
Sounds like a nice place.
It's relevant.
It's very,
Kind of.
very Milton-esque. Swear to God, you moved
my stapler one more time. I'm going to burn this place down.
Do you remember when we drove through Penn State's campus? That's a hard no, bub.
When did we drive through Penn State's campus?
On our way between Gettysburg and Akron, Ohio, to go visit our super fans. Well,
Yeah.
super fan at the time, Jamie,
Yes.
and someone else.
Yeah.
It's not a fan of this
She
podcast.
who shall not be named.
Anyway, yeah, we drove through Penn State's
There's a
campus,
reason why I'm not a photographer anymore, guys.
right? But no, we drove through their campus. It's in the lines. I looked up what a Nittany lion is. Mount Nittany looks over Penn State's campus, so that's the mountain lion that is associated with.
So it's a very specific
Yes, it's not a
species of
correct.
mountain
Yes.
lion. Not those Michigan mountain lions. They're mountain natney.
Nittany.
Nittany.
Jeez,
not
what did you say?
lions.
Natney?
Yeah, like natty lights or whatever. It's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine.
Is it a Natney lion? That sounds like a GNAT lion. Okay, go ahead with your story. Sorry to disrupt with memories.
So memories I clearly just blocked out. I was like, oh, it was a horrible road trip.
Oh, you don't remember podcast 37? No, you don't remember when we drove. Then
It was like a 10-day road trip too.
let's just go ahead and agree to disagree here. Our memories both suck.
So on Friday, November 28th, Betsy and her roommate Sharon headed to Pate? Pattee?
Okay, Patty.
Patty Library at approximately 3:50 p.m.
Approximately this exact time.
Well, they said
before
about
o'clock.
10 minutes before 4.
Okay.
So, like, that's 3:50
10
because
to
I
4.
could do math.
Yep.
60 minus 10 is 50. Look
at
at
you
me go. So, her roommate noted that Betsy seemed to be dressed up a bit too fancy for studying. She was wearing a red dress with a white turtleneck underneath. And because of this, some people speculate that she was meeting someone at the library, even though there was no evidence of unhappiness in her relationship with David.
Her basement professor.
Yeah. So the library there was only one mention of the fact that she was meeting her professor and he happened to be in the library, like the basement library. Like no one like had mentioned him like ever being a suspect or being interviewed. I'm like, guys, maybe we should look into that like 2%.
Probe that angle.
Yeah. So the library was super empty since it was a holiday weekend. The police later put the total of students at the library at about 90 or so. So when Betsy headed down the dead-end, floor-to-ceiling book stacks between rows 50 and 51, no one saw or barely heard a thing.
Oh, did she get murdered in the library?
Yes, she did.
This is going to turn into Clue.
Yeah.
Was it done with a candlestick?
No, it was done with a hunting knife.
What?
Yeah, don't worry, we'll get to it. So the last person that
Is
believed
it
that
a Bowie or a Bowie?
it's a Bowie knife. So
Is it? Now you're questioning
look,
everything.
the doll did
Anyway.
a whole episode on it. So
Callback.
so the last person they believed saw her alive was a library assistant named Dean. Dean did see 2 men chatting near the aisles that Betsy was down. The rows of books had barely been enough room for people to slide past each other unless someone turned sideways, making it impossible to escape because they were also dead ends. They ran floor to ceiling from like the
One end to the other.
yes, all the way to the end. There was
So he or she murdered this lady, then walked out the end, and then disappeared.
walked out the end that they
Yeah,
walked
that
down
she
because there
came
was
in.
no way. There was just these
Yeah.
stacks just ran into walls, which like in hindsight you're like, why the fuck would you do that? Like not just like someone might get raped or murdered down here. Like how about a fire? You're in a building filled with paper and if you're down an aisle and it catches on fire, you're trapped. Like
You
what
could
the
go
fuck?
through the stacks, I guess, if you really had to.
Maybe if you're skinny, like anybody bigger than me wouldn't be able to fit through a shelf in a book.
You just push them over, and then they domino effect. It's good for theater. Yeah, it's a good
just
visual
real-
for movies.
Yeah, just flames everywhere. Someone pushing it down. Just dun, 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 dun. Yeah. And then there's gonna be birds with cords of fire set on them when they're going back home. You know,
for
just
sure.
very. Someone's in a cape. Very. Shit. What was her name? Kiev.
Yeah.
Betsy of Kiev.
Yes, Betsy.
So when the killer approached Betsy, it was in very close quarters.
Okay.
It's believed that he came up quietly behind her and plunged a 3.5 to 4-inch hunting type knife with considerable force into the left side of her chest, through her breastbone, with no attempts at defense because she had no wounds on her defense wounds on her hands, which is why they think they came up behind her and did it.
Okay.
So the blade hit her pulmonary artery and her heart.
That's not a good start.
No. So she fell to the ground with a gasp, pulling books down onto herself. Other students remember hearing a gasp. Others remember hearing the books falling. Most people heard nothing at all.
Okay.
It's believed that Betsy bled to death in about 5 minutes.
Okay. That sounds like somebody who was going to medical school would know exactly where to stab her. Just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So it only left, after all that bleeding, it only left a small amount of blood behind that looked like it came from a flick of a hand, on the books. That's it.
Huh.
So Mary, one of the 9 students within 70 feet of Betsy when she died, had gotten up from her desk and ran into 2 men that Dean had ran into.
Yep.
One of which told her that somebody better help that girl and just walked off.
Okay. Little sus.
Yep. Mary stayed with Betsy, trying to get someone's attention over the next 15 to 20 minutes. Finally, a library employee called the student health
Just
center.
scream bloody murder, lady. What are you doing?
They didn't know she's dead. There was no blood.
Yeah.
So after the 15 to 20 minutes, finally a library employee called the student health center that then called an ambulance. She arrived at the center at 5 p.m., and the EMTs just assumed that she had an epileptic seizure and was still alive. Because it was the 70s. God forbid you check for, I don't know, a pulse.
Vitals.
Yeah. So Dr. Elmer Reed, who was the autopsy technician, found...
Elmer.
Perfect. Yep. He found a 1-inch wide and 3-inch deep stab wound, and that the blood had pooled inside of her lungs, which is why she was unable to scream.
Okay.
Yep.
It's terrible.
Yes. And...
So she was drowning in her own blood.
Yes, and it took
lovely.
And it took 5 minutes to do that. And the reason why they couldn't find any blood really on herself either is because she was wearing a red dress.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So
that's unfortunate.
Yes, don't wear red, people.
Should have just kept the white turtleneck.
Yeah, yeah. That would have been a little more obvious.
I wonder if it was an ascot or an actual turtleneck. Is that what you call it?
Oh, like a Dickies,
Yeah.
what Howard
Yeah.
Howard Wolowitz would wear.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would assume it was probably a full turtleneck, right? So she was officially pronounced dead at 5:50 p.m. on November 28th, and that it was a homicide. In the meantime, the police had gotten the call regarding the homicide, but most officers had left to either go home for Thanksgiving or go bear hunting.
As you do.
Yep. In the Nittany Mountains.
Yeah.
Yep. So the only officer available was a noob. His name was Officer Simmons. No, sorry, not Simmons. Simmers. He was undercover on campus for drug investigations.
Officer Boyles wasn't available, so all you get is a simmer.
So, yes.
That's a terrible joke.
Yep.
You don't have to laugh at that one.
So he showed up at the library, saw there were already people milling around the stacks where Betsy was stabbed. Mm-hmm. At this point, no one even knew really what had happened, let alone that Betsy was murdered. So Simmers asked 2 college-age security guards to close off the area and make sure the scene was secure. Simmers went to the health center, found out that it was actually a homicide, and that he was clearly way over his head.
Slightly.
Yeah. So he called his boss, who was out bear hunting. By the time that Simmers had made it back to the crime scene, everything had been picked up and put back. All the books, everything, and any type of blood that was left behind had been cleaned up, and any witnesses were allowed to leave. So the investigation was fucked within the first 90 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Way to go, Simmers. You're going to be a lieutenant in no time.
Simmers tried. Simmers tried. He was like, guys, we need to tape this off. And people were like, fuck it, we don't care.
They're security guards. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Yeah. Maybe you should just listen. Be like, don't let anybody go down this one aisle.
Simmer was promoted and immediately became part of the LAPD, where his way of investigating would become a staple of the department for years to come.
The LAPD?
Yeah. He'd fit right in.
Sir, it's triggering.
You just call me sir? That's
Yes.
awkward.
No. Oh, yeah? Just wait till later. Sorry, now it just got really awkward.
Hard no.
So 40 officers at the investigation's highest point worked
They all show up in bear hunting like attire.
Just Elmer fudding it with their big.
Whoa. I don't know what Elmer fudding it is, but I don't think they should be doing that on a college campus.
Because they show up with their like big guns with their big barrels, and
oh yeah,
there's a word for those.
Elmer fudding it.
I hate you so much right now. In my mind, I was like, oh yeah, like a cartoon.
There's no way Elmer fudding's not like. I feel like we should Urban Dictionary what Elmer fudding is.
Like, ma'am, you should stop saying that.
Yeah,
never say that again.
We've said it thrice in this podcast, so
we're done now.
Yeah.
So at its peak, there were 40 officers investigating Betsy's case.
Elmer fudding the shit out of it.
There were thousands of students who were interviewed. They even sent officers to investigate Betsy herself back in Michigan to try to find anything that may have been a motive.
There's a guy.
Did you?
If you Google Elmer Fudding, there's a guy whose name is literally Elmer Fudding. He's on Facebook.
Can we be his friend?
Oh my God, hold on.
No,
Elmer
stop.
Fudd is in the Urban Dictionary.
No, God, no. Please enlighten us.
Oh, hold on. No.
No, it's that bad. Like, oh, no.
It's just weird. Okay.
Go on.
Elmer Fudd. It's not fudding. It's just Elmer Fudd.
Okay. We're reading this from the Urban Dictionary.
This is not. Elmer Fudd, a practice of sexual gratification in which a man squeezes Elmer's glue onto his hands, masturbates, and then peels the dried glue from his member.
That is 100% not where I thought this was going. I thought it was going to be some weird poop thing.
No.
No.
I'm not reading the next one.
No, please do.
No.
Look, we have no rating. You have to do it.
Elmer Fudd.
You've been warned. Skip forward 30 seconds.
Mr. Jansen is the one that submitted this one. A practice most often engaged by two gay men when a small rodent is placed in the anus followed by... You ready? Want me to keep
Please
going?
Stop.
No?
Nope.
Prodding a rabbit
We're
hole with
good.
his gun?
We're all... What? No, we're done now.
It's an innuendo.
Yep, I got it.
No?
Mm-mm.
Hold on.
We're good.
Remember when it was just a guy on Facebook named Elmer Fudding?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to add him on friends. Yeah. Hold on.
Those are some... He's probably a troll account. He's got no profile picture.
I'm adding him as a friend. I've been requested.
This is how his Facebook gets hacked, guys. All right. We've gone on enough water. No, we're done.
I'm never going to look at glue the same.
No. or hamsters.
Right?
Elmer's glue and hamsters?
Yes.
No.
You're gonna
the worst kind of lube.
I'm just going to troll you, and I'm just going to leave Elmer's glue on your nightstand every night now.
Oh, no.
Do it over there.
Would you like to know? So anyway... They interviewed thousands of students. They sent officers to Michigan to try to find some sort of motivation, like
Holland?
to go through like any type of diary, like her history, to find out if there's somebody there who might know something, anything. Mm-hmm. They also interviewed her boyfriend, David, but he had a pretty solid alibi because he was studying for classes over 100 miles away with fellow classmates.
Okay. So it might potentially legit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So it didn't really matter, like his alibi being pretty solid. Police would still show up to his campus and follow him around 3-4 times a week. They harassed him so much that the dean of Penn State kicked the officers off campus.
Nice.
Yep. So a sketch was drawn up of the mystery man who was fleeing the scene from the library. Pennsylvania State Police brought in forensic experts to use black lights to detect, like UV black lights to detect body fluids.
Okay.
You'll learn a lot about the library here. Quote from Simmers. Aisle 51 lit up. It was covered in semen. Mm-hmm. But most samples appeared to be days old or even older. He said that the stacks, since they were so private, was a place to stash porn and people would meet up for sexual trysts.
Terrific.
Yeah. So There was nothing valid. That's where they did find those few drips of blood.
Do they think she went down that stack for said like a tryst of some sort?
No, because she was doing an analysis that required like some sort of like history rare finds that to go down there.
I mean,
didn't
like know like the red dress.
That was like like implied. They were like this little whore in her red dress, but like everybody's like, no, bro, her and David's relationship was spot on. Like it was fine. Like we don't know why she would be meeting somebody.
She
down that
abandoned
aisle.
the children in Africa for him.
Yeah, exactly. She also had no evidence of any sexual assaults.
Okay,
so that's kind of important as well. So they did find those tiny blood spots though that looked like they were like the blood spatter from like her hand flicking. Yeah. So the blood type that they did find, it matched Betsy's, but that was like as far as they could go with forensic analysis in the 70s was just blood typing. They're like, cool, it's an O positive. Great. Everybody has O positive blood. It's not helpful.
Oh, look, it's positive.
Oh no, Nittany comes up.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
And you still didn't know. Lady.
So some people suggested that she fell victim to Ted Bundy because he was in the area at the time.
Doubtful, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, no, bro, he ate people. Like, also she also has red hair, not brown, but okay.
Yeah. There wasn't yeah.
Yeah, he would have taken her. He would have lured her away and raped her and ate her.
Yeah, he wouldn't have done it with potentially 90.
And he wouldn't have. And he wouldn't have left her because that's not his MO. His MO was to get his rocks off in the woods.
Yeah, not down
with decomposing bodies.
Row 51 at some weird public or college library.
Yep. And then some proposed that she fell victim to the Nittany mall rapist.
Nittany mall rapist?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they were like, why would this guy come in from like a mall into like downtown wherever?
Oh, right. That was my question. Like mall, like a bunch of shitty stores next to each other, like Aeropostale, or a mall like mauled by a lion? Like
mall, like a mall, like where you shop. I didn't know if
it was a rapist who was like mauling victims, quote unquote.
No.
Okay.
Nope, he was just some dude who would like lure people and then leave them there. But they're like, she wasn't sexually assaulted. And also, why would he drive like 20 miles in town?
Also, if there's ever a serial killer that like dismembers people in Minnesota, they should call it the Mall of America serial killer. Like they're mauled. Isn't the Mall of America?
Yeah. Guys, if bodies start showing up... It's because Scott took this pun way too seriously.
Yes, I am like, I need to run with this pun so hard.
We're moving to Montana.
Minnesota.
Jesus Christ. Look, I still get it mixed up.
Yep. We live in Michigan.
We have a friend who's from Montana, and every day I'm like, Minnesota, right? And she's like, no.
It's because we listen to Wine and Crime too much.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, one author named David DeCock, who...
What?
David DeCock?
Okay.
Yep. He lived in Betsy's hometown and wrote a book on the case. He alleges that this guy named Hafner that had a crush on Betsy, he showed up to his advisor's house a few hours after like the time of the killing and was acting weird and frantic, and he was known for carrying a knife on himself. So this author's like convinced it was him, but he was never named a suspect by the police.
Huh.
So there's never enough evidence to bring any suspects in to charge any like crime to, and then the investigation was put on the wayside in the wake of like the Manson murders and other nefarious goings on in the late 60s. You know,
none of that going on in Pennsylvania.
No, but like it did make headline news, and then like 2 days later the Manson murders
and this
happened.
Became less. Yeah.
They're like, oh no,
became a small deal.
Yep, it's like when you hear about a lot of murders that happened, like insane murders, you're like, oh my god, why have I not heard of that? And it's like, oh, because 9/11 happened.
Or like, yeah, what was the story that happened? Like, oh yeah, we did the one thing with was it the Savannah thing? The boat, I think it was the bonus pod that happened, and it was a big deal. And then like fucking Pearl Harbor happened like 2 days later, and everyone's like, oh, this is a much bigger deal.
Yes.
Yeah. So it just got pushed off.
It's crazy how many things have like happened like the day before some really serious tragedy, and you're like, man, this should be solved or figured out by now. And then you're like, why not? And then you're like, oh, because suicide bombers. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Betsy Aerdsma, that's her name. Her murder remains unsolved today, but it's not a fully cold case. So current detectives hope to pull DNA from any prints that were found, or her clothing with the new technology that we have today.
Oh, okay.
So her immediate family doesn't like to talk about Betsy. They're like a private...
It's okay.
Yeah, like her parents and her siblings and shit. They're like, no interviews. We don't
Wait,
talk about it. It
conservative
never happened.
family just doesn't talk about
Yeah, they just brush something under the rug. Oh my God. But like, I guess like her sister or aunt or somebody got a divorce. So her like that ex-husband's like all for like talking to people, and like friends and cousins and shit are like, yeah, we have to keep talking about this because it's not solved. But her parents are like, no.
Yeah.
We don't talk
it's
about
too traumatic.
We don't talk about Betsy.
Yeah.
You haven't watched Encanto yet. We don't talk about Bruno.
I haven't watched Encanto.
It's a really good one. So if you have children and you want to watch a movie that like you're
Fuck
like,
it. If you just don't have kids and you want to watch it,
Yeah,
you
it's-
got Disney Plus burning a hole in your pocket.
go for it. It's a good one. So they're a private conservative family. At the funeral, this is the thing that pissed me off the most. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm sorry. If I was super religious, I think watching my daughter get like mindlessly murdered and then buried in the ground, and my fucking pastor said this to me, I'd be like, I'm out and burning all the churches. So at her funeral, which her then boyfriend attended, he came
David.
back to Michigan. Yep. Their pastor said, quote, that her killing was God's will. And according to one of her friends who was there, the pastor said that a quote-unquote dark poem that she had written in high school was evidence that Betsy embraced death.
Yeah, that's not how that works, but okay.
Yep. I think that would have been the moment that I'm like, all right, well, let's burn the world.
Yeah, that random poem she probably got assigned to write 7 years ago clearly means that this was all coming from there.
Yeah. So David had sent a dozen roses to the funeral, and Betsy was buried with one placed in her hands. And that's the end of her unsolved murder.
Yeah, I don't feel like it, like initially, like he obviously was suspect number one, but that doesn't seem, it seems more,
Literally physically impossible.
it seems more plausible that some creep who like was mad and jealous or she rejected
some
or something.
piece of shit incel who was like, but I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, your boyfriend's like 2 hours away, like he's not real or whatever.
Yep. And
he got all salty
But I'm
about
such a nice guy. Why would you tell me no? Like, I'm such a nice guy that no one else can have you and I'm going to kill you.
Yep.
And they're going to a school that there are a lot of med students there. It could have been anybody. Or the guy just got real lucky.
Or if it sounds like 90% of the people there probably hunt. He probably knows where.
That's true.
Yeah, he pretty much like field dressed her. Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, that is very true.
Because that's more useful knowledge typically than med school knowledge when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, finding exactly where and everybody knows
where,
the heart's
like,
a little
the
bit
kill
to the
shot
left.
is,
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Yep. So it's just, a really sad story, and it's unsolved, and I think it's been 53 years now.
Way to get back to telling me something terrible.
You're welcome. Would you like to do something a little more lighthearted next episode? Because I have plans.
Nah, I don't care.
All right. I can just keep being depressed.
So this comes out on the 2nd. Or the 1st. Sorry, the 1st. So our next episode that actually comes out will be the bonus episode, which we are going to record sometime in the next 48 hours. But no, I have it written, which is better than usual. So this will be, the first episode of February. So if you listen to this and you're like, man, I've listened to all 76 episodes. First off, I'm sorry. Second, we do have a Patreon. If you want more episodes, there's a bunch there.
And Scott tells me stuff.
Yep.
Not quite as terrible.
You just go to patreon.com or download the app if you're
cool and
under the age of 58. And then you search Tell Me Something Terrible, and then you can click on any 3 tiers. They'll have a little different perks.
Sure.
$5 gets you a pin. $3. Anyway.
It doesn't matter.
At any of the tiers, you get all the bonus episodes backlog for free. So if you want, like, whatever, this will be like 8 extra episodes.
Have you been thoroughly shamelessly plugged now?
So much. I need ointment.
It's a little A&D ointment.
What is A&D ointment?
It's like the OG diaper rash ointment. It was like the thing that people used to...
Before butt paste?
Yeah, before Bordeaux's butt paste. If anybody has babies, we highly recommend Bordeaux's butt paste. It's really good. It's
been our kids 8.5 almost, so there's probably something else out there now people use.
Nope, it's the best. It has zinc in it. It's awesome.
It was the best when I was like a parent, like a decade ago.
Yep.
Anywho.
Oh, if you've made it this far.
Congrats.
And let's do sources real quick.
You should do sources real quick.
Yep. So I used an NBC article, Unsolved Murder of Penn State Student Betsy Aardsma haunts community 52 years after she was stabbed in the library stacks.
That's a very long title.
Look.
We got to button it up. NBC.
A lot less clickbaity. And then Penn Live articles, A 39-Year Mystery, The Hunt for a Killer, Part 1 and 2. And then author David DeCock it might actually be DeCock, but DeCock is funnier, discusses Penn State's infamous murder in the stacks.
That's French for David of Cock.
David of Cock.
Which is where most Davids come from.
Yes, unless someone else has, it's not immaculate. What's the word?
No, I was making the...
Where you just get pregnant out of nowhere?
No. I was making the, brutally, obvious joke of that's where most Davids come from.
Oh, got it.
It was the worst joke.
Unless they're transgender, but okay.
But yeah, and then, they do, babies. I got you.
What's the thing where Mary, it happened to Mary with Jesus?
Immaculate
It
conception?
is Immaculate Conception?
Yeah. And with the Steelers...
Seems like clean conception. They laid down a plastic sheet and they're like, just don't move. I have to sanitize afterwards.
With the Steelers, it was the Immaculate Reception. I know you're a big sports
I
fan
am.
over there.
Tell me more.
Oh, my goodness. Terry Bradshaw's my guy. You don't even know who the fuck Terry Bradshaw is.
I do.
Because
he's an announcer.
And he was in a movie.
He was.
He was. What movie? He was
naked
it the
in the
movie.
Was it the, was he in one of the Ace Ventura Pet Detective movies?
No.
Oh, well then I don't know.
He plays a dad in a movie.
Sure.
I Love You, Man. Something like
Why
that.
not?
One of those movies.
Okay.
Anywho.
We probably have it upstairs.
Probably. I would almost guarantee. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Yes.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Yep. Okay, have a nice day.
And that got weird. All right. Goodbye.
Okay, bye. Oof, that was terrible. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.